So, what does the insurance company really think your claim is worth? How do they evaluate it? And I've asked Jackie Wiley, one of our associate attorneys, to come talk with us about that today. She is a former insurance adjuster and now a personal injury attorney, works with us, helping the little guy like we do against the insurance company. And the insurance industry has a federally controlled rules that they follow. One of them is a reserve process. And a reserve is what an insurance company places on a new claim. So when a new claim comes in, they have to reserve a specific dollar amount of what they think that claim is worth, what they're going to have to pay on that claim. And then they park that money so that at any given time, if there's an audit, they can show they have enough money to pay any outstanding claims. So just to make up numbers, someone makes a claim for an automobile accident and they say, okay, this claim we believe is potentially going to be worth $25,000, and that's the reserve figure on it. So once a reserve is set on a case, the insurance company's job, from my understanding then, is to certainly not pay more than the reserve and hopefully pay less than that reserve amount. Is that correct? Were you familiar with the reserve process?
I'm familiar with the reserve process. The reserve can be altered at any point. If new additional information is received, they can always increase it or decrease it. But the goal is to not go over the reserve that is set. So if it's $25,000 and you have not increased the reserve or gotten additional authority, then yes, you need to stay under that amount.
And just because it's reserved for that amount doesn't mean you write a check for that. The claimant still has to show what their damages are and their claim amounts. And one of the goals is to, if you can resolve the case for less than that, 10 or 12 or 15 or some number less than that reserve amount, then that's a good day.
Right.
And the insurance adjuster's job is to not tell that person calling in all of the things that they have the right to get compensated for, is to only look at what they're claiming, correct?
Right, what claim is being made, yes.
Right. And ultimately their job would be, I always say, reduce or deny the claim. And by that I mean not necessarily nefariously, but their job is to look at every claim, evaluate it, see if there's any component of fraud. Are they asking for too much? This should be reduced because we're not going to pay you that amount for what you're asking for. And potentially, if the claim, they feel like the claim's not valid, they'll deny it based on the information they gather, correct?
They will deny a claim that's not valid, yes, I agree with that.
And based on information they gather, they would gather that information and maybe deny the claim.
If it's, yeah.
Okay. So they try to evaluate the claim and make a decision on what a case is worth. Tell us about that process.
So they will, consider the injury that's being alleged, the treatment that the person is receiving, if they're continuously getting treatment or if there's been delays or missed appointments in treatment, things like that. And then once all the treatment is done, they will, consider whether there's any scarring involved if that claim is being made.
And I'm sorry, if there is a scar and they're not claiming anything for it, the adjuster's not going to likely say, oh, by the way, that's a claim worth money and I'll pay you more money. If they don't say anything about it, the claimant doesn't say anything about it, they don't give them money for it.
Right, if the adjuster doesn't know and doesn't have proof or pictures of the scarring, they're likely not going to consider it. So it's important to make sure you have pictures of your scarring and send that in as well.
Okay. Things like loss of enjoyment of life, things that you aren't able to do, hobbies you can't do for a period of time, maybe permanently, who knows, unless the claimant raises those and says these are problems and issues that I've had and I'd like to be compensated for it, the adjuster doesn't have a duty to say, you have a claim for this and pay it. And most of the time they wouldn't do that, correct?
Right, it's on the claimant to make their claim.
Okay. And again, I realize there's a lot of good adjusters out there and this isn't a blanket statement, but the reality is they don't have a duty to bring those things. They have a duty to evaluate the claim that's presented to them and not counsel that person like an attorney would do onto all the available claims that they have.
Right.
So again, the significance of hiring a lawyer. When someone comes to you, either they've had a consultation with a lawyer, not yet hired him, but they've talked to him and maybe it becomes obvious in the conversation, or they have a lawyer, do you tend to see that more claims that they're allowed to be paid for are brought and that more is paid on those cases?
On the cases with an attorney that's representing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And why is that?
Because the attorney knows what to argue and, you know, what the adjusters are going to be looking for and what they put value on, and not every layperson knows exactly, you know, what to claim or what is important or key information that the adjuster can put money on. And so the attorney can usually get that case value raised by making those arguments.
And Jackie knows that very well because she used to be on the other side doing claims adjusting, which is why we were thrilled to hire her once she finished law school to fight for the little guy. Because you know what the insurance company needs to document their file, what claims are available. And a lot of times it's a matter of documenting the file for the insurance adjuster so that they are able to have authority to pay those claims.
Exactly, yep.
And you're well versed in that.
Right.
So Jackie brings a lot to the table with our clients in being able to put those things together and help them make a claim. And it's a wonderful thing. So, if you want to just talk about your case and still work forward and call on your own and work with the insurance company, that's fine. You can do that. We have a free consultation process. Or if you would like us to help represent you in the case, Jackie and I can get involved and help you with your case. We'd love to hear from you.